Moving right along, briskly along, I might say, to the final panel of the day. As I mentioned earlier, there's an arc to the design of the program today. This is, in a sense, the culmination of the day. A number of the pending questions that you may have had should find voice in this panel. So certainly, Peter, if you had issues that you didn't touch on, there's an opportunity to do so. So I'd like to invite our panelists to really join us on stage. I see Paul and Joerg are here. Arindam, welcome. Okay, so as you can see, this is a sort of an encapsulating summary panel, what worked, what didn't work, and why. And we have a somewhat different structure to this panel in the sense that we have Arindam Mukhopadhyay from Citibank, and he'll actually go third in that group because we have Joerg Guenther and Paul Fahey. Joerg is from RTO Asset Management, and Paul is from Northern Trust. And as it happens, Northern Trust has been serving RTO, and Joerg is a client, so there's a mini case study brewing in there. They'll talk about their experiences, what worked, what didn't work, and I invite you to ask questions of them specifically specifically regarding that engagement. And similarly, Arindam will give you a broader arc of what he has led at Citi and also his general perspectives on the industry. And so you can certainly ask him questions. I also want to mention that we have a pinch hitter here in terms of Roxana Wall from UBS, whom I tried to bring into the panel earlier. She's just been deeply engaged in something that's close to our interests and minds, buyout of a captive unit by a third-party provider. Cognizant just recently bought UBS's captive. I'm sure we're all interested in how that worked out and what her perspectives are. So Roxana, I want to invite you to also share some of your thoughts. So without further ado, if I may start with Paul, ask you to introduce yourself, and then speak a little bit about Northern Trust and the types of services that you're offering.
Sure. Paul Fahey, I'm actually a recent addition to Northern Trust. I've been there just about 8 months now, previously with one of Northern's competitors in State Street. So I spent the last 11 years dealing with the outsourcing business in various shapes and forms. Obviously, State Street, now Northern Trust, heavily involved in that aspect of the financial services industry. What I thought I'd do as we look at this is talk about the title here is around what's worked, what hasn't, and why. I was hoping just to share some of my experiences in dealing with that, and certainly open for anybody to challenge what I've seen as being either endemic in the market or specific to individual instances. But just touching on a couple of those topics, I guess the first thing I'd say is what's worked, what's not worked, and why. The answer to that question will vary depending on who you ask. I'll suggest that if you ask a COO, and I've seen some recent surveys around, Chatham Partners published something about a year ago, and there was a fairly low level of satisfaction around outsourcing targeted at the COO space. I'd suggest that the COO, just by the nature of the role, should never be satisfied, whether it's an outsourced or in-house service. They should be constantly striving for that better, faster, cheaper. Whereas what wasn't incorporated and something that we focus on at Northern Trust is around the CEO, CFO, and what they see as the success or criteria around outsourcing. We look at it very much from how do we, as a strategic extension of their business, help them achieve their goals. And I'm going to hope at some point Joerg talks a little bit about how we've done some of that. But it really is that you're looking beyond the tactical operational and to the strategic. And that level of satisfaction and the difference, just in perspective between the COO, the CEO, and CFO, I think is key to that, how that question is answered. Additionally, I've just seen some recent output from Alpha FMC, who run a benchmarking study around the value